Hello everyone, you're now with me, Ruben Gomez, for TVS News at 5 p.m. And these are the news. Batang Sadong Member of Parliament, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri, will continue prioritizing education to ensure the residents of her constituency receive comprehensive education. The Malaysian Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture said she would make sure that allocations for education are provided. This, she said, was a promise to the children of Batang Sadong to provide them with a comprehensive education and advance their studies to a higher level. She added priority was also being given to school infrastructure, and currently the focus is on efforts to ensure the constructions of SK Abang Man could be completed as soon as possible. She stressed that she would make sure that projects concerning education and learning in Batang Sadong would be hastened. Meanwhile, teachers in the area would also need to be empowered with teaching skills in the English language. In other developments, Nancy said the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture have come up with an initiative to produce young tourist drivers through the Young Ambassador program. The program, she said, will involve primary 4 and 5 school children in Simunjang. She further said this method will indirectly build the children's confidence to speak and talk in public. About 2,437 early childhood education institutions in Sarawak have been barred from operating at this time. This is following the implementations of the Movement Control Order and the Conditional Movement Control Order. Out of this total, 325 early education institutions are not allowed to operate in Cebu, which was put under lockdown since January 27th. Minister of Welfare, Community Wellbeing, Women, Family and Childhood Development, Datuk Sri Fatimah Abdullah said in other division, 1,006 are preschools under the Sarawak Education Department, 991 are early childhood education institutions under the Sarawak Community Development Department. 105 are Tabika under the Sarawak National Unity and Integration Department, while 10 are kindergartens, all inoperative during the durations of the CMCO. Meanwhile, she added other private nurseries and kindergartens are operating strictly according to stipulated standard operating procedures. All operators or supervisors would need to ensure that children attendance is at 50% of the capacity in every institution. All teachers and caretakers or staff, as well as children, would also need to wear face masks. As of February 7th, as many as 268 private early childhood education institutions involving 6,608 children are operating in CMCO areas. This also includes 68 early childhood education institutions and 2,262 children in red zones. Hospitals in Kapit, Lembang, Miri and Kuching will receive a molecular lab in efforts to improve the polymerase PCR reaction test. According to the Minister of Local Government and Housing, Datuk Sri Dr. Sim Kui Hian, the federal and state government will contribute to molecule containers to hospitals throughout the state. He, who is also the advisor to Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, said the state government will fund the lab at Limbang Hospital and Kapit Hospital. However, for Miri Hospital and Sarawak General Hospital, they will be funded by the federal government. The Sarawak government will ensure the provisions of reliable and affordable electricity supply for the whole of Sarawak by 2025. Hence, the Ministry of Utilities, Sarawak and its implementing agency, Sarawak Energy, would be accelerating the delivery of rural electrification projects. Of Utilities, Datuk Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi Utom said, through the Rural Electrification Scheme RES, the ministry is extending grid lines into the interior by constructing electrical distribution poles and supply lines. Rural Power Supply Schemes, or RPSS, would supplement RES by introducing new transmission, distributing lines and substations at strategic rural locations. Rundi said this was to enable RES to be extended to the more remote areas. Rundi assured the public that his ministry, working closely with Sarawak Energy, would ensure that rural Sarawak will have access to 24-hour reliable and affordable electricity. Under RPSS, power supply reliability would be reinforced with substations that could quickly isolate faulty equipment to restore supply speedily. Meanwhile, Sarawak Energy's Vice President for Rural Electrification, Dr. Chen Sean, said that a dedicated team was continuing efforts in accelerating rural electrification implementation. A new distribution system technology known as the medium voltage covered conductor has been adopted in considering the area's harsh geographical conditions. Welcome back. Concerned with the plight of flood victims, the Sarawak Volunteers Organisations has come forward to lend a helping hand for the flood victims in temporary relief centres (PPS) in Simujan and Sibuya. The assistance provided came in the form of food and personal hygiene essentials.
According to the Sarawak Volunteers EXO Azim Rahman, the aid is aimed at ensuring flood victims could take care of their personal hygiene. This is because in a flood and heavy rain situation, victims who were evacuated most likely would not have brought personal care items with them. He added, with the provision of essential personal hygiene items such as soaps, shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and sanitary pads could keep the flood victims clean after a week in the temporary relief center. The aid was given to 68 victims from 14 families. As was done previously, the aid given also came in the form of food, with additions such as rice, salt, flour, and noodles. Also provided were school essentials such as stationery, coloring books, and exercise books for children in order to partake in their learning for the duration of their stay in the PPS.
A total of 500,000 ringgit has been allocated by the Sarawak government through the Public Works Department for the construction of additional car parking spaces in front of Riam Secondary School in Miri. It is aimed at overcoming congestion in the area, especially during peak hours.
The existing car parking space at this time is constantly filled to capacity with students' vehicles. Sarawak Minister of Transportation Dato' Lee Kim Shin said, with bigger and more spacious car park, it is expected to be able to accommodate the vehicles of students, teachers, and school staffs. In the same development, Lee, who is also Senadin Assemblyman, presented a proposal to the Public Works Department to add a pedestrian traffic light for the safety of students, teachers, and pedestrians crossing the road to their parked vehicles.
The Ministry of Entrepreneurship Development and Cooperatives (MEDEC) is optimistic in the setting up of the National Entrepreneurship Development Council (MPKN). The new council will be the catalyst to realize Malaysia's aspiration to become an outstanding entrepreneurial nation by 2030.
Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said the council will coordinate the implementation of entrepreneurship initiatives at both the federal and state levels, thus be in line with current socio-economic policies and planning of the government. MPKN is poised to drive the development and growth of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises while acting as a communication platform between the federal and state governments. Whereas Wan Junaidi said the latest effort will be to strengthen the current entrepreneurial ecosystem across all levels. MPKN will also be the platform for MEDEC to form collective cooperation with all stakeholders. He said this so that the implementation of outlined strategies and initiatives can produce competitive and successful local entrepreneurs in a fair, equitable, and inclusive economy.
Fewer onions were being imported from India due to poor weather conditions in the country. This contributes to the hike in prices of red onions in Miri.
The Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Miri branch head Joe Asmi Jamil said there are fewer onions were being imported from India due to poor harvest as a result of floods. It is also learned that the price hike is attributable to the disruption in the supply from India. Joe Asmi asserted that the ministry will continue to monitor and cooperate with the Federal Agricultural Marketing Authority. Traders are also warned against hiking the prices of 16 items gazetted under the Chinese New Year price control scheme, which is being enforced, and a continuous inspection is being conducted by KPD and HEP at E-Mart supermarket located at Ria, Miri. Regarding the supply of mandarin oranges, it is enough to meet the demand for Chinese New Year. Joe Asmi said the prices of the 16 controlled items must be sold below the ceiling price. Furthermore, he also reminded the public to continue to observe the SOPs which has been laid out by the Ministry of Health to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Well, that's conclude the news at 5. Remember, tonight 11:30 p.m. for the Nightline with Handy Gui, Ruben Gomez, anytime, anywhere.